We're going to have a look at solar batteries and EV charging for apartments. And where does this sit? We've heard the buzzword electrification. So obviously all our strata buildings have electricity connected to them today, but the task ahead is to complete the electrification of strata buildings. And at the heart of that is solar photovoltaics, also adding batteries, heat pumps in particular that Ethan referred to, and electric vehicle charging. So one of our projects is we've actually mapped about 49,000 strata schemes across 29 local council areas in Greater Sydney. And at the moment, we've hit 3% penetration of solar onto our existing strata building stock, but that's quite a long way behind residential houses, which might be at about 37% in Australia. But you can dig more into this on our website or just Google electrify strata and you'll find more of this information, including this map, which is the electrify strata map for the City of Sydney. And it shows with the blue dots all the strata buildings, and the yellow dots represent those strata buildings that already have solar installed on them. So there's at least 80 strata buildings in the City of Sydney. And these maps are all available online for the 29 different local council areas. There's a separate map and you can see what the penetration is in your local neighbourhood. So in 2023, we started to see a couple of larger solar installs, even on high-rise buildings. So this is 140 kilowatts of solar being installed on the VQ BMC, which is out at Rhodes. And so there's 70 kilowatts on Skyline Tower and 70 kilowatts on Harbourview. And all that solar that's generated is just instantly consumed by the common areas of both of those buildings. It wasn't even worth putting a single battery there because every bit of solar that's generated is instantly consumed in the common areas. For something a little bit more exotic, just last week, the installation of flexible lightweight solar and a Tesla Powerwall went in at Bay East in Botany. And you can see on this photo here that this roof didn't have the structural integrity to be able to hold traditional solar photovoltaic glass panels. So they used the Sunman panels developed out of UNSW, which are 1/3 the weight of normal solar panels. And they were able to put a 15 kilowatt solar system on that ColourBond roof there. We had Ethan mentioned zinc at Garden Street. Alexandria had done Loom solar sharing. Here's another example where 2 Loom Sol shares are sharing into 17 individual apartments in Ryde. And as Mark mentioned, we've got different brands of batteries being installed into strata buildings now. So these are all photos from residential strata buildings in Sydney with Sungrow, Alpha ESS, BYD and Tesla batteries being installed. And for something a little bit, let's say, pushing the boundary, a new development out at Schofield Gardens actually put 24 Tesla Powerwalls in to service the common areas. And they're actually dominoed 3 next to each other up against the walls there to fit 24 of those into the 1 battery room. And another case study that shows electrification is doing solar for the common areas and a heat pump retrofit for the common hot water. So this building decommissioned gas, did degasification. It's Bridgeview, looking at the Glebe Island Bridge. So you can see they've installed the solar on the rooftop, but they've also installed reclaim energy heat pumps, and all the hot water is entirely done by heat pumps. And during the day, that's fed from the solar on the rooftop. And some buildings that have gone down this path have hot water as cheap as $200 per year per apartment with solar powered heat pumps for hot water, which is a really spectacular saving. And the other thing that drove this building to move forward with the project was property valuation uplift. They thought, well, we can spend $130,000 on common area projects, and there are 24 apartments. We can create a cumulative $1.6 million worth of property valuation uplift. And so that made sense to them, because that's a great multiple in terms of capital appreciation on your apartment block. Another electrification case study, another one that came through the City of Sydney Council program that we've been working with for 6 years. Great result here. The Galleria at 27 Palmer Street in Woolloomooloo has increased its neighbours rating from 0 stars for energy initially up to 4.5 stars. And how did they get there? Similar to some of the case studies that Ethan was going through, LED lighting upgrade in the common areas, replaced their hot water plant, and while they retained gas, they used a small heat pump as a booster to reduce the gas cost, installed an electricity monitoring device, they decommissioned a central cooling tower and moved everyone to split air conditioning, and then installed solar and batteries. So they've got 22 kilowatts of solar, 26.6 kilowatt hours of batteries, and now they've got their EV charging infrastructure roadmap in place. And to give you an idea, their common area electricity bill reduction is 72% compared with when they started. And based on their neighbours, their second neighbours rating, they're saving 76 tonnes of carbon emissions per year in a block of 62 apartments. And they can still do a loom solar sharing into a bunch of apartments in the future. So cost and payback, cost per watt of solar in Australia is the lowest of any country on the planet. So on a house, we're down to $1 per watt, which is the lowest installed cost per watt globally and the cheapest installed energy source in human history. But as we move into strata and we go into higher and higher buildings, that cost per watt for installing solar gets higher. You know, we've got high rise, it could be $1.42 per watt, because you've got lifting costs, you've got extra cabling costs, waterproofing, etc., that add on to this. And now we'll have a look at EV charging. So we've gone back to the Electrify Strata map for City of Sydney, and this shows the proliferation of EV charging infrastructure. There's at least 21 strata buildings in the City of Sydney that now have EV charging infrastructure in place. And you can look up that map again yourself by Googling Electrify Strata. And I thought we'd have a look at the two case studies of the first two buildings to get the New South Wales EV charging infrastructure grant. The first two buildings to get $50,000 from the New South Wales government for EV charging infrastructure were first Richmond, and we'll have a look at Rhodes House as well later. But the Richmond building, they've got 106 car spaces on 3 levels of basement car park, and they've got 12 visitor car parking spots. They've installed EV charge points in all 12 of those visitor car spots, regardless of whether it's an EV or a normal vehicle that passes in them. They've got cable trays going past every car space. They've got 2 software management systems. They've got Tesla and they've got ChargeFox. They've got online booking systems for using the visitor car parking spaces. And here's a picture of a couple of their Tesla Generation 3 charge points in visitors. And here's a picture of some of their infrastructure. You can see new distribution boards, data connectivity boxes on each of the 3 floors of the basement car park. And they've got charge points from JetCharge and from Tesla. And if we jump over to Rhodes House, the second building to get the New South Wales government grant funding, they've done something that is pertinent, which is connect their EV charging infrastructure up to the fire control panel. So if there's a fire in the building for any reason, a message will go to those contactors and drop power to the distribution boards and all the EV charge points that are connected to them. They've got permanent electricity monitoring devices installed into the building, measuring the load on the building at a high level of frequency. They've got 9 new subboards, and they've used the flat cable technology. You can see it in the middle picture on this screen. And they've also, in visitors, they've got a DC fast charger as well at 25 kilowatt. That's another picture of what a flat cable looks like. It's also been used more recently in the 9 development on top of the old Channel 9 site. And I thought I'd just mention this study from Domain in 2022. And basically, energy features in apartments and houses can create property valuation uplift. And you can see on average across Australia, across all the listings on the Domain website, you've got a property valuation uplift of about $72,000 or 12.7% for apartments that have all of these energy features. So a couple of extra resources. We've got an online solar training course, online EV charging training course, and our YouTube channel is the 4th most watched strata YouTube channel in Australia. We've had over 50,000 views on it. So go and check out all the content there.